Hello, my name is Olga and today I would like to make a video about washing the project after I'm done stitching it. As you probably already know, the topic of washing the projects is quite controversial in the cross-stitch community. If you go into any social media post discussing the washing of the projects, you will see two distinct groups of people. One saying, I always wash my projects and I will always be washing my projects, and the other one saying, I have never washed my project and I will never wash them. So people may have some strong opinions about this topic. And since I'm making a video about washing the projects, you can imagine that I pretty much belong to the first group, the ones who wash and will be washing projects. And today, the video I'm making is not only to show how I do that, but also to explain my reasoning to do that. So, if you may be a person who has never washed the projects and is a bit scared to do so for the first time, my arguments may help you to go for it. But I'm not trying to persuade anyone into anything. I just explain my point of view and show how I do it. So here, as you can see, I have my beloved Van Gogh project, which I have finished just recently after more than 2 years of stitching. There are 35,000 of crosses here. I will make a separate review on the kit I was working on later once I'm done washing and ironing this. But for now, I will use it as an example to show the process of washing and explaining my reasons. So I can say that I have at least 3 reasons why I prefer washing my projects. First of them being that I mark most of my projects, especially when it is multicolored, full-covered project like this one. It helps me to go on my projects easier and it helps me to work a bit faster. I have made a video about the materials I use to mark my projects and I will put the link up in the corner. But as I'm marking my projects, I prefer using water-soluble markers, and since they're water-soluble, they need to be put in water to be erased. For example, here in the corner you see there are still some marks, and there are marks under all the crosses, under most of the crosses here as well, because I mark every 10 by 10 square. So the one reason why I wash in my project is to get rid of those markings. Of course, if you are using pre-marked canvas or if you're using some other tools for marking, not water erasable but heat erasable, for example, you should consider internet sources about how you get rid of those markings. But in my case, it's water soluble, so it will be better to use water. So that was the first reason. The second reason, it is especially valid for long-running projects like this one, more than 2 years. And this project was with me in few places. I took it traveling with me. I was working outside, I was working indoors. So, as you can imagine, it has quite bright life while I was working on it. And of course, you cannot avoid having some dirt, oils and dust collected onto the fabric and onto the threads. Even though on camera and up close when you look at it, it doesn't look especially dirty or especially filthy, I still know that there are quite a lot of dirt and filth inside collected into the fabric itself of Aida, into the threads, under the threads. So even if you work very carefully, if you never leave your house, if you always cover the project between stitchings, if you always wash your hands carefully multiple times before stitching, there is still a chance that over time some of the dust and oils will get collected onto the fabric. So this is my second reasoning for washing it. And the third reasoning, which is also, I think, quite important, though you will not be able to see it discussed very often, is that when you wash the project, and especially when you iron the project, those threads you have in your project, which you normally have, you would have double thread in each of the crosses, as I do here. It is not covering the background either very good. Especially it's seen on pieces like solid black color here. On the cypress, I will bring it up a bit closer to see. So when you wash and iron the project, it makes the working threads, fluffier, and it opens up to cover more space on the background fabric. I will now bring the project a bit closer to you to see what do I mean on that. I hope it will be visible. And then I will do the same after I'm done stitching. So as you can see here under the black threads, there is still some white Aida visible. It is not related to the way you are stitching, it is just how the thread goes when you stitch. You probably can avoid this by using 3 threads of black Aida in those places, but I was using 2 all the time, so this is what I have at the moment. Yet there are still those white gaps. And I know that after washing, those black threads will become a bit fluffier and they will open up, and they will cover the area a bit better. So those are my reasonings on why do I do it, why do I wash my projects. And I think we can go forward into the washing project itself. So for now, I will remain in this room because I will bring my container with water directly here, but a part of the video will probably be made in my bathroom. Unfortunately, the light there is not very good, but I will do my best to set it up so it will be visible to see how I washed. So first thing first is to get rid of the markings. This should be done before washing the project because water erasable markers are gone in cold water. So first you need to soak. I will be soaking my project in a bucket, in a container with cold water to get rid of those markings. And I will have to leave it for at least a few hours. Some people recommend to do it overnight, it is also possible, until all those visible markers are gone. And then I can continue washing it in the warm water. If you will wash the project with water-soluble canvas on in warm water immediately, it may actually cause the water-soluble marker to be fixed on the canvas, which is not good. Some water-soluble markers require warm water, but it all depends on what type of markers do you use. In my case, it is water-soluble and it requires cold water. So I'm gonna stop the video now, we'll bring my container and I will continue from there. I'll see you soon. So I'm back to my project and I have my container with water. Before I continue, I wanted to show the back part of the project because I was using this project quite a lot to show how to do parking method. I will put the links again in the corner. And this is how the project looks like after using parking method on the project. Some people say that it might be a mess, and I have to agree with that. It looks a bit messy because I was traveling places with it, but I think at the end it doesn't look that bad. So it is a bit thick, especially in places where there were a lot of colors used in one spot. But here is how it looks like. I will probably make a separate photos of that after I'm done washing and ironing it, because right now the fabric is a bit crumbled, so I don't want to make pictures like this. So let's go to our soaking process. I will move this a bit aside and I will put in my water container. It is just a plastic storage container. I'm not sure how much volume is that, probably around 10 liters, maybe a bit less. I use it for all of my washing processes, which I do, and I was showing it before in the video about water-soluble canvas. I can also put the link for it in the corner. So there is a bucket of water. I filled in maybe around 3 liters of cold water. You don't have to fill it in fully, as long as it is enough to cover for the whole project to be soaked in, and the container doesn't have to be exactly the size of the project or larger, it can be smaller. We will not be leaving it for a very long time and nothing will happen if it will be just folded a bit. So here is the process, here is the magic moment. I'm putting it in after 2 years of being worked. I'm putting it into the water. It takes some time to go down, of course, and it needs to be fully soaked in water for it to be, for the water-soluble marker to be diluted. So it looks a bit weird at the moment, but quite Van Gogh style, I would say, this way. Maybe I will add a bit more water because the project is quite large. But here is what I'm gonna do. I will leave this project in the water for, as I said, a couple hours, maybe 3 to 4. I will see how the erasing of markers be going. I will leave this corner a bit open here, so I will be able to see if it is disappearing and how fast it is going. And after it is fully diluted, probably you already can see it in the corner that it is going quite fast right on. It is already not so bright, so I hope the process will not take us very long. And after I see that, but you can also see here, for example, under the light threads, there are those crosses which were going across all the project. So I hope they will be gone as well in cold water. And after I see that all the marker is already gone from the project, I can continue with washing it. So I will be back to you once it is done, and we will continue washing it in the bathroom. Thank you for this, and I will see you soon. Hello again. So I'm back with my project that's been sitting in a container with water for a good 3 hours, and now I want to check if there is any water-soluble marker pieces left on it. I just go through the whole canvas. I check every corner to see if there is any little piece left on the inside, and I don't see much issues. this is not the marker, this is the color of the thread here, so it looks like a bit off, but that's because it's slightly orange compared to yellow. Same here. Those parts here where there were numbers is now completely clean. Everything is gone, as you can see. So I think we're good to go to start washing it with solution, with soap solution. One thing I wanted to mention, forgot to tell that about in the beginning of the video, and it may be a valid point of concern for some people, that the threads you're using, if you're not familiar with the threads, if there's some new brand you have never used before, or a kit from a new company you have never used before, there might be a quite a valid concern that the threads you're using may be leaking some color on the white canvas. In my case, I'm not worried about that because I know the company, I know the threads, and I know they don't leak. And generally with DMC or with this Chinese brand CXC, I know that they're pretty stable in the way they color their threads and nothing leaks. But if you have this concern, if you think, well, it might be leaking, how do I check it before I go and wash my project? You can just cut a little piece of thread from your kit, for example, or just from the threads you are using, and to try to make it wet and leave it on paper towel for some time to see if it will be leaking any color. Of course, you should do it mostly with some brighter color, like bright red or bright blue if you have it in your kit, and to see if it will be leaking color or not. But generally, I don't think with modern companies, with modern producers of threads, it is a big issue. Probably it could have happened with the threads that were produced 20-30 years ago or something, but I don't have my personal experience with that. I just wanted to say that there is a way how to check the threads for leaking before you start washing your project. So now I will be moving my setup to my bathroom, and I will see you there when I will be washing my project. See you soon. Hello. So I'm in the intimacy of my bathtub, of my bathroom. I have added additional source of light here on the right, so it will be a bit better to see. It makes picture a bit weird, but I hope it will help to see details better. So here, as you can see, I have everything prepared. I've put the container with my project in the bathtub, and I have the washing lotion to use it on my project, and also I have prepared a big blanket. A big towel. So in essence, you need to be prepared as if you would be bathing a child or a pet. Everything should be right next to you to reach easily. Regarding the washing lotion I'm using, I'm not getting into the frame, so this is the one I have. This is from just local drogery store. It is for washing the wool, but of course it doesn't really matter. Normally I can also use just liquid soap or shampoo or just any fabric washer you may have at home. I'm sure there are some specific lotions that are supposed to be used on embroidery and cross-stitch projects, but I don't have anything like this in where I live, so I'm just going with any soap shampoo solution I have. So if you have any suggestions of good washing liquids, please put them in the comments down below, but I'm just going with some generic thing I have found in the drogery. So what is the plan for now? As the the towel I'm using is a large size, so it will cover for it to go for the whole project to be fit on it, because it will be used for drying the excess water inside. But I will be back to it a bit later. So now I will pour the previous cold water out. I will put some warm water into the container again. Not hot, not cold, just the temperature that is good for the hands. You don't have to use like specific temperature, at least I don't. I just use the warm water. And I will add a bit of the washing lotion to it to start washing it. I will not be talking while the water is running, because you will not be able to hear anything, but once I stop the water, I will probably continue explanation on what am I doing and why. So, first of all, let's do this. Pour the water outside. As you see, the water is pretty cool. So the water was pretty clean. There was no leaking threads or anything like that here. So I will just turn a bit of warm water here. Put this aside. So I have added some warm water here. Now I will open my lotion and I will add some solution there. Just a bit. Maybe I will use a bit later, a bit more. So now we want to have this water soapy. So the project itself will get some soapy water in it. Don't worry. Well, of course you have to worry if you're not sure if you have fixed all the threads correctly. So you better be sure that everything is fixed before you start washing it. But I know that in my case everything should be fine. So I will probably get some more lotion, and I want to use it directly on the canvas, because what I plan to do is I plan to wash it with hands all through the project. So how I normally do this is I would take the soap or soapy solution or lotion, just some soapy water, and I would rub it all over my project. It may look a bit scary in the beginning, I know, but there is really nothing bad about it, and I will show that at the end everything is fine. So you would want to just rub it all across your project, just like that. So it will all become nice and soapy. I'm just holding it with one hand and rubbing it with another. I'm not using any brushes, any sponges, anything, just hands. I'm hoping I'm not out of frame with this. I cannot go back to my camera to see what's going on there, so please bear with me. So just everything is nice and soapy. It goes through the fabric on the other side as well, so I feel it with my lower hand, with the hand that holds it from the bottom. don't forget to also wash the white edge, because, well, depends on how you will be framing it. It may be visible or not, so you don't want it to be dirty as well. You want all the project, including the white edge, to be clean. You don't want to do it like you would be doing it with normal laundry. You have still to be careful, so don't just pretend as if it would be a dirty bed linen or something. Just still use some care. So as you can see, I have covered pretty much all of my project with soap. That's, in my experience, that's more than enough. You don't need it to be washed a million times. One time washing with soap is fine. So I'm just leaving it soak a bit more like this. And what I'm gonna do now is I will unwrap my towel for it to be prepared to catch the project, and then I will start washing the soap out of the project. You can wash it either with a tap or with a shower head, but I think the tap gives the stronger water flow, so I'm using tap, and I will just be washing thoroughly all the soap out of the project. It will take some time. I will not be talking in the process because we will not be able to hear anything. But important part is to prepare your towel in advance, like this. If it will get a bit wet, that's fine. What this towel will do, once I am done washing the project from the soap, I will just rinse the water, the soapy water, but then I'm not gonna be squeezing any water out of the project just with my hands. I will be transferring it directly to the towel. So I will take it out and I will put it here. Maybe I will move my camera a bit here so it will be more obvious. So I will maybe just rinse a bit, just let some drops fall by themselves, but I'm not going to be squishing the water directly out of the project. I will just put it right on the towel. And then I will probably roll the towel to get some excess water from the project on the towel. But this is just my way of doing it. And then I will take the same towel and I will transfer the project inside the towel, like you would transfer a pet or a kid, on the place where I'm going to leave the project to dry. So I hope my explanation is sufficient, and I would also again try to show it as much as possible for you to see. So let's go for it. I'm turning my water on and I will not be speaking for a while. So here is my nicely washed and wet mango project. So as I told, I just rinsed the water out carefully. I was making sure I don't feel any soapy water on my hands when I'm doing it. So once there was no soapy feeling on both sides, on the front and back, I just switched the water off. Now I'm letting it just drop the big drops of water out. And I'll hold it a bit like this, a bit weird, but it's because I need to move my towel closer. And now what I'm gonna do is I will be just putting the towel and putting the project on the towel. So here it is on the towel. It is all fully, the towel is large enough to hold the whole project. And what I'm gonna do next is I will just wrap it carefully in a not tight roll, just like this, for it to get the big droplets of water, the big pieces of water. So that's what I did for now. And now I will again switch my camera, because I will take this burrito of project to the previous room, and I will put it on the board where I intend to dry it, and I will show exactly how I'm doing this. So the project is rolled carefully and nicely, and I will see you in a moment. Hello again. So I have transferred my burrito project in the other room. I just put it on the ironing board where I will leave it to be dry. So that's pretty much how I do it, but you can also leave it just on any flat surface, even on the floor if it's clean, or on the bed. But I will be using ironing board later to iron the project anyway, so it's a good option to transfer it directly here. So I will carefully unwrap it, the project, from this bundle. I hope it all gets into the frame. Okay, so I got a bit crumbled in the process. I'll turn it around to see better. And as you can see, it is clean and nice. It smells very lovely because of the washing solution. It's not a must, but I like it. And for now, it is, even though it is clean, it is still look very crampy. It has all these wrinkles, which we will get rid of later. For now, the goal is to leave it to dry for some time. Generally, I would probably leave it overnight, especially for this size of project. Sometimes you may hear the advice that you should not leave it dry fully so it will be easier to steam it out to iron it out later. But if I will need some steam, I will just use the steam option in the iron later. I don't want to keep it wet. So for now, I will leave it just to dry on the towel in this room. Maybe I will be back to it in the evening, or I will be back to it tomorrow morning. We will see. So that is it for now. Let's leave it to dry, and I will see you again when I will be ironing it, and I will probably also show the option to store the project if you don't plan to have it framed immediately. So I will see you soon. Bye. Hello, I'm back to my project, which is already dry. It's been several days since I finished washing it. So right now my plan is to iron it, and then I want to show my way of storing the project before I bring it to the framer or on the way to the framer. So as you can see, here is my project. It looks a bit bumpy if you look from the side because it is washed but not completely, but not ironed yet. So this is what I'm gonna do now. And to do so, I'm only using a normal iron. I have a small travel size iron, so you don't really need large iron to do that. That's the only iron I own, so I'm using it and it works pretty well. It has the steaming function, so the steaming function might be necessary for projects. Or also if you have a spray bottle, you can spray some amount of water on top of your project when you iron it. I don't have a spray bottle, but I think it's gonna be fine anyway. So to start ironing, I will first put my project upside down. The idea is that you wanna iron the part where the cross stitching is from the back side. So on the front, all those threads, all the crosses will kind of pop, will kind of open up a bit. So that's why you're ironing it from the back side. So I'm gonna start just normal ironing it, and I will see if I will need my steaming function, because sometimes some pieces of project are a bit stubborn when there were long-running traces of hoop, for example. It's pretty hard to get rid of, but we will see how it will go in this one. So I'm just ironing it on both the edge and the inner part. As you can see, my iron slides pretty easily. It doesn't get stuck into the running threads on behind. So I think it's gonna be fine. And I'm just ironing it carefully on the back side. I will not be ironing it on the front side where the cross stitching is, because I think it makes the project looks a bit flatter. But that's my personal preference. Of course, if you want and if you like, you can iron it from both sides fully. I will use a bit of steaming to make it a bit wet. And then I will turn it around to see how it looks from the front. Let's see how it worked. Okay, I think it looks pretty well. It still looks slightly bumpy, so maybe I will iron it here and then again iron it from the back side. We'll see how it will go. I'll try it on the back side, just to be sure that I did my best in ironing it. I think you can also use the steamer if you have one at home, which I don't, so I'm only using my iron. But I heard that they bring good results as well. So as you can see, it got quite smooth. I'm not sure if it is visible on camera, but from my perspective, it looks pretty nice. Also, I wanted to show this black part I was showing in the very beginning. I wanted to show I will try to show the difference between from before washing and after washing, to show if the black thread covered a bit more area of the blank canvas below it. Let's see if the light will be available for us. Probably it's not much light at the moment, but I think it did pretty good job. So this is my finished, washed and ironed Van Gogh pattern project, which I'm very happy about. I will make a review on the kit a bit later, but for now I unplugged my iron, and for now the final part, which is about storing or transferring the project. Of course, if you have enough space at home, if you plan to store project, if you don't plan to frame it immediately, you can, and you have enough space, you can just lay it out flat like this and store it under some fabric to protect it from getting dusty or protect it from somebody touching it, and you can keep it like this. But in my household I don't have spaces like this, and also I normally tend to bring it to the framer as soon as possible. As soon as my project is done, I will wash it, iron it, and bring it to the framer. So again, if you have a car, you can just bring it into the car flat on the towel like this and bring it to the framer. But again, I don't have a car, so my method of storing and transferring pattern is quite simple. To do that, I have this soft tube which is used in construction for insulation of the water pipes. So it is made of some polyester material. I'm not sure what material is that, but you can find it in pretty much any construction site, and they normally send it by length, so you can get like 1 meter or something like this. This is I already cut this one to my preferences. It was longer, but for now I'm using it, and it is approximately maybe like 70 centimeters length, which is pretty fine with me. I don't have longer projects than that. So this is the tube I use to transfer my patterns projects to the framer. Now I will show you how I do that. So I will put my frame aside, the tube aside, and to do that, I will first roll my project into a tube as well, starting from the edges. You don't want your tube, of course you have to look at the diameter of the tube you have. I have the one which is not very large, but it can be larger, of course. So you should look at this inner hole to decide how thick should be the roll, the pipe, the tube you make out of your pattern. So I will try to roll it carefully, starting from the edges. I will just fold one edge, but don't fold it fully because it will make creases. Just try to roll it carefully as a roll. Don't fold things here, just roll it. I think it will be, I roll it facing front, but of course it can be done other way around. It is up to you. I don't think it gives any differences. So I will be carefully rolling this pipe I'm making. I want it to be quite tight, so it will definitely fit inside my storing tube. just like that. So here is my tube of the project, and I will see if it will approximately fit my storage tube. It does. But before fitting it in, you want to fix the edges from unrolling, because if you will not do that, inside the tube it will unroll itself, it will be harder to take it out. So to fix those parts, I'm using just normal pins. I will use just maybe 2 of them. You can use safety pins, you can use stationary clips, anything you want. Just do it on the edge here. I'm not going through all the layers of fabric, I just need to kind of fix this outer part. And I do the same on the other side. So it's done, it's fixed. Now it will not be unrolled. It will not unroll on the way. So I can just put it inside. So here it goes, and it can easily get out when you need it. I normally cover those edges with something like foil or plastic or duct tape, something that it will keep them together, or you can just stuck some piece of fabric inside. And this is how I transfer my projects to the framer. I think this one will go to framer as soon as possible. And I hope I will have a good framing, and I will put it on my wall quite soon. So that is it for now. I hope you enjoyed this quite lengthy video. I will put timestamps in the bottom of the video for you to click to different parts, and also I will probably try to edit it to be as short as possible. But as you have noticed, the process of washing is quite lengthy, though I really like the result, and I hope some of you will be using some of my tips to wash your projects as well. For now, thank you for staying with me, and I wish you a good